Now back to the snow and falling leaves of Tumut and the Kosciuszko National Park. Horse riding in the snow and a bout of trout fishing. In the foothills of the snowy mountains there flows a small but much heralded river. This is the Tumut River, renowned for some of Australia's best trout fishing. Its waters carry both brown and rainbow trout, attracting fly fishermen from all over the world. One local fisherman who's represented Australia all over the world is Jeff Naylor. These rivers around Tumut, they're some of the best fly fishing in Australia.
I believe they are. Tumut in particular, the big river, it's especially when it's at the height it is now this time of the year. The flows are down and the fish feed avidly this time of the year.
Jeff, you're telling me that the trout will be hunting for various different insects at different times of the day.
Yes.
And so what are you replicating here today?
Well, there's two things we're doing at the moment. We've got the little white moth on top, which is a caddis. They actually hatch out here through the day, especially in the evenings. And then we've got, under the rocks, we've got various little creatures called nymphs, and that's the aquatic cycle. They take a year, and I'm just trying to imitate those. Then it's just a matter of getting the fly to drift past their nose at the right depth. Right, we're on this time.
He's on. He's little, but you've got one. Get yourself a rainbow trout, eh?
Yeah, little one.
How are you feeling?
Ah, good. Considering we've had an hour there where we haven't even had to hit anything, and now we've had three. It's only a little one.
Beautiful colour. There's that rainbow colour running along the...
right along the flank here, along this edge of it. Yep. Way too small. The last one we just lost was bigger.
And he's off.
Quick release.
It's an exercise in patience in these cold waters. Jeff and I spend the entire morning casting. No joy for me, but Jeff reels in several smaller trout. Lovely. Well, they're on.
Yeah.
And you have caught bigger fish here.
Yeah, I have caught bigger fish here, yes.
What about that fish you said you spent 5 weeks hunting?
Hunting, yeah, that was a big brown up in one of the big holes in the river, and unbelievable fish to stalk it and end up landing it, and it was, you know, for the Tumut River, any river, actually 10.5 pound is a good sized trout.
You didn't let that one go?
I didn't let that one go. No, he's sitting on the wall because I've got to have bragging rights, you see, for the kids and the grandkids and everybody else.
Further up the snowy mountains, on the edge of the Kosciuszko National Park, sits this grand building, Yarangobilly Caves House. It's surrounded by some 60 limestone caves, the 4 biggest of which are open to the public. Our guide today is Regina Roach. This cave, the Gillibine Cave, is what, 3 million years old?
Yes, and it's one of our most beautiful caves here at Yarangobilly. It's our oldest show cave. It's got a lot of formations. The white is just pure limestone. Anywhere that you see the brown in the cave, it's from iron oxide coming through the cave. And the black is from the bushfires. A long time ago there were many, many periods of bushfires, and there were a lot of openings into the cave, and that's where the bushfire smoke came into the cave.
Regina, there's some of the most outstanding formations I've ever seen in a limestone cave here. These straws are so long.
Yes, yeah, they've got some really great ones there, and there's some with the bend in. The really good thing about them is they're still growing. You can see the little blobs of water at the bottom of the straw, which tells you they're growing, and they'll grow about 3 centimetres in 100 years, given that they've got a fair amount of water going through it. But if the water stops flowing, they stop growing.
So that tiny little bit of growth every 100 years, and yet that's the very beginning of these magnificent stalactites that we see around us.
That's right, because what happens is often the bottom of the straw will get blocked up, the water still keeps coming down, and it'll flow down the outside of the straw, just building up, building up, building up all the time to make the great big stalactites.
Regina, you're telling me that in the old days, the early tourists, they didn't have flashlight cameras. They'd come in here and they'd snap off parts of these stalactites.
That's right, and instead of taking their photos, they'd take off one, he'd keep one for me as a souvenir, one for Pop, one for Nan. But nowadays we've educated people, they don't have to, so you've got these great ones here, these stalactites coming down, and they look beautiful. It's a beautiful cave.
further west around Tumbarumba is prime cattle country. These cattle are being rounded up by a man who both musters for a living and runs public performances at his Boggy Creek property to show off his skills.
G'day, I'm Tim O'Brien and I'm a third generation mountain cattleman. My family, they used to put cattle in the Kosciuszko National Park from the early 1900s right up until 1958 when the snow leases closed down. There's no more grazing throughout the parks after that time. So each year, in May, June, July, I head up in the mountains and contract muster around about 1,400 head of cattle. We muster them out of about 390 square kilometres of bush, and the job takes us about 8 weeks to do, and we just use our horse and dogs. But I reckon the Brumby's a bit of a national icon, and caught and handled properly, they make great little kids pony and good stock horses.
Years in the saddle means that Tim has developed a healthy range of tricks. He's perfected superb handling skills with his prized horses. Today he demonstrates how he can ride without using his hands, controlling his horse with gentle pressure applied through his legs. Cracking the stock whip is another of Tim's skills. Today he cuts the stems of a number of flowers. And then there's his other farm animals. Rover, the pet pig.
Sit, Rover. Sit. He's actually supposed to be a miniature pig. We paid $150 for him here a few years ago, and as you can see, we definitely got ripped off because he's definitely not a miniature, and he is feral most of the time.
The miniature ponies that race with puppet jockeys. And Ralph the Kelpie, rounding up sheep, even running across their backs, all part of his duties.
Push up, push up. You know, take a bow.
Time to take a well-earned bow. Back in the Kosciuszko National Park, a solid fall of snow blankets the ground. With flowers still blooming and giant wedge-tailed eagles looking on, this is the perfect environment to take a horse ride. I'm in the saddle with a group of riders who'll spend the next week crossing the high country. It's a magnificent experience. The visual contrast of vivid blue skies and the dazzling white of the freshly fallen snow. Thankfully, that snow is not thick enough to impede the horses. Our ride leader is Karen Brown.
These horses, I think especially, they live in the snow, so they seem to cope with it pretty well.
And of course, this is the land of the wild Brumby. Mm-hmm. See plenty of them?
Yeah, there's quite a few around, yeah. They're quite special to see. There's always something beautiful about wild horses.
Because this is the home of the man from the Snowy River?
Very much, very much. It's, even today, there's a lot of families, original families, names from here, and a beautiful history and beautiful values. I think this is the ultimate team, is horses up here in the mountains. Sometimes it's just beautiful to just travel along and just take it all in, like there's, you know, nearly 11 million acres in the national park.
Riding the alpine wilderness, I'm mindful of its rich history. This is a land where legends of mountain horsemen abound. When next we travel Oz, exploring the Nitmiluk National Park in the top end. Deep gorges, wildlife aplenty, friendly welcomes. Travelling the Grand Pacific Drive down the New South Wales south coast. High adventure with the two Tims. And checking out Dubbo and beyond. Squatters' homesteads. Exotic wildlife.
And that is this episode of Travel Oz. I'm Greg Granger. Happy travels.